All right, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dameron's absent. Mr. Spence?
Here.
Mr. DeStefano?
Here.
Administrator?
Present.
Mayor Petrella?
Present.
Solicitor Lynn?
Present.
Fiscal Officer Denise Jean Angels present. Dr. Scarpone?
Present.
Mr. Mattern?
Here.
Mr. Merriman?
Here.
I will stand for a moment of silence in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, June 9th, 2022?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yay.
Dr. Scarpone?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
All right. Is there anybody that wishes to step forward and speak before council? Go ahead, Mr. Lockhart. Please state your name and where you're from.
Okay, good evening, Robert Lockhart. I'm the representative for various agencies in behalf of Wintersville that I'm going to discuss with regard to my attendance at meetings, Steel Valley Regional Transit Authority, of which I'm a board member of the Board of Trustees. I'm going to go over some of the information that garnered at the May 19th meeting. There's two pieces of property just south of the Modal Center on 6th and Adams Street. It's a vacant lot, basically. Those two properties are owned by Steel Valley. Over the years, they've acquired them finally, over several years of trying, and now, problem is both of those sites have previous sites for gas stations, therefore tanks that are below it. They had to go through the process of hiring a consulting firm of which it was grant paid, and as a result, they determined certain aspects of it have to be done. Now they have to look at the soil underneath and eventually get a grant to get the tanks that they have determined are on site. And then they have to take care of the soil and go through all that process. But these sites eventually will be considered for charging stations for the bus service, the new buses that you're going to get eventually. So there's a process that's going to cost, but it's time and effort, but it's not going to cost money a lot because of the grants that they're acquiring. So that came up. A title for the property is being searched by the attorney representing the council, Bob DeAnabal, and he's going through that process now. With regard to officers were elected, there was a recommendation for officers to be elected, of which were the chairman, vice chairman, the treasurer, and the secretary to the board. And the following meeting, I'll discuss those that were appointed. The manager's operation, there was budgetary matters to discuss, and there he prints out a detailed analysis of the operation every meeting. That's cost, factor, profit, loss, all kinds of detailed information. Every one of the checks that are written is listed in this packet that we get every time. So it's quite a detailed accounting system that they utilize, which is relatively new. Last year, the latter part, and between the manager down there, Tim Turner, and the secretary, Heather Delk, they do a tremendous job with regard to preparing this information for public use. Workman's compensation, there has been a move on the part of the council trustees to acquire a third-party representative called Miners Man HR. They're up in Cleveland. Basically, they will evaluate any workman compensation claim other than what Tim does if there is one issued. They oversee and check everything before it goes to the State Bureau of Workmen's Compensation Board for analysis. The issue with regard to fare increases, that issue was brought up at this meeting, and recommendations were to increase the amount of the annual fee for a pass from $30 to $40. And tonight, down at the main library in Steubenville, they have a public meeting today, this afternoon through tonight, and they're going to present the reason and justification for that increase. The next meeting will be July 14th at the Chapel Library at the mall, where if you're interested, you got a moment to go over there and you find out why they have to increase it. One point is, I'll give you an example, the gas and fuel budget amount for this year. They just recently had an inline transfer from one of the other accounts, $75,000, just to kind of keep up with the fuel cost problems we had this year. So it's understandable. Everyone knows what that's going on. Ridership through the end of May was good. It's overall 4.6, which is a positive. Not a big factor, but with all the economic situations, at least it's a plus and not a negative. One good thing about Wintersville ridership itself, 68.2 increase over last year. And the other big one is a 429.4 increase in ridership just to get to that Robinson Mall. So there are economic situations, but somehow the people are getting to the mall. And now that's one benefit of those two. The other categories are not very positive. Ridership in Steubenville and Mingo, they're on a negative side. But the bus service is presenting a good service overall for the people in the community. Going to the 6/13 meeting, again, the information pertaining to that third-party workmen's compensation consulting firm, that was just brought on again and voted on. With regard to officer elections, Sue Hoke has been the chairman for several years. Vice chair would be our Wintersville representative, Charlene Pennis. Treasurer is Tim Turner. He's the manager of the Steel Valley operation. And Heather Doak is the secretary to the board, but she's also the administrative secretary and clerk down at the Steel Valley. She's very talented, and they have a sound, in my opinion, being there for several years, they have a sound bunch of people down there with a positive outlook, generating good work, good relationships with their drivers and the public. They're working hard to present a good package to the community. Operation-wise, brought out the fact there are 5 buses that have 200,000 miles each. Now that's over the general allotment on a bus for utilization before it can be get rid of through the government framework. Next year, they hope for sure to get the grants to acquire buses, those new buses, to replace those. But in the interim, the mechanic department and maintenance department are doing a super job just keeping these things rolling, which they have to do every day. So we're fortunate there. There's a rather lengthy presentation that's been developed by the Steel Valley people inside, the administrative people, 30 pages long. Not going to get into what it is. It's a guideline to outside agencies that they want to develop a new mobile app for this area. We had one with Steubenville and EM media, but with the route changes, it went by the wayside. It's not effective for the people, but it was at one time. This here has rather detailed and gives a step-by-step what they require of a company to present their package with regard to an app for the system. Basically, it's a system whereby you can get on your cell phone and go through the process and determine the schedule where the bus is coming, so you have expedite services as to not standing out there in the cold. You know where the bus is at the time. It'll be a good system. It was good before, it'll be better now. Well, the only factor is it's kind of costly, I thought myself. Weirton Transit, still in the process of not allowing us to go into the city over their community, but there is consideration given to them to utilize our modal center over here. So those people come over here, get on the bus, and then they go and follow the entire system that Steubenville offers. Robinson, all the way down to Rayland, so they go to Wheeling and all those other areas that I've mentioned before. But they're in the process of still delaying, and I don't know, it's not detrimental to the people of Weirton as far as I'm concerned, but it's still pending. With regard to the public meetings, I told you June 7th today, July 14th at the library. Bottom line, that's about it. I won't get into most of the details. You have the two meetings, so if you have any questions, I got notes for you here. So, any questions? All set?
I got one. You mentioned they were buying a plot of land for a charging station.
They own the land across the street. Two empty lots at 6th and Adams. That land is owned. They finally acquired it, okay? The problem is now they have to go through the process of evaluating the surface and subsurface because the gas tanks were there. So when you get gas tanks, they have to come out. Secondly, they have to have the soil around the tanks examined and tested because of leakage of the tanks. That'd be the case generally. They gotta dig all that contaminated gas and oil saturated porch, take it all out, put in new stuff, and go through that whole process before they can use it for not necessarily more tanks, but use it for commercial property, which will be, and based upon the grants that we have gone through before and prepared, they know through ODOT and the federal government that those sites are going to be utilized for the future for the bus charging facilities, which they ultimately will have to go to because the buses will go that way in the future instead of gas.
Right, that's what I was asking. If it's going to be a charging station, if they had a specific date in mind when they would have the first electric bus or when their fleet would be all electric.
Right now, nobody knows much about the electric vehicles, cars or what. Projection-wise, trucks could be 2 years down the road before they get the car, let alone in this area. They want the states, independent states, they want them to put in the charging stations, which a lot of states just say, look, we don't want to do that. Now, I was in California recently this year, and they have the charging stations all over the place. But you're going to have to install those in the area. We're getting prepared now, hindsight, to get that property taken care of so that we can get these stations put in. And I don't know who's going to pay for that. I know the bus service won't. We'll probably have to get grants to get those things put in with the charge the buses. And the buses too, they've been able to go to Pittsburgh last month, and they were given the opportunity to actually see 2 buses, but they were really long and not beneficial to our community with the streets we have. So they want 30 passenger instead of some long thing. they at least had the opportunity to see what they're like. So Tim and others went to Pittsburgh and the Port Authority and saw the new buses and all that stuff. So it's coming, I don't know when, I'd say within maybe 3-4 years, hopefully, because gas is so outrageous now. It's got to be adjusted somehow. Anything else? By the way, there's no information regarding Rita. I told you last month they're not going to have a meeting here anymore for the people to come here to resolve their tax issues. It's going to have to be handled another way. It's up to the people themselves. When they get information as notice about they want to talk to you, you best, all we can do is offer to people, you best contact them. Otherwise, the cost is going to be astronomical, and eventually you'll wind up in court here in town and before the local court, and you're going to have to pay the tax anyhow. So there's a real penalty phase process. It's been in since 2016. I'm not positive of that date, but that's where the state of Ohio is going to charge you per month for delinquency with and not filing your tax return. Even though you work in Steubenville, or you live here, you've got to file that return to show that information. They just ship it to Rita and you're done. A lot of people don't. I went through that process. I even, fortunate enough to Scott, got it in the newspaper front page, what you had to go through for the benefit of the people, because I've been through this a lot of years with Rita, and I hate to see the people get stuck with horrendous fines and penalties, nothing before it. Now they're really going to get stuck with a lot of extra money on top of the tax that they don't like anyhow. But that tax is needed for this village. At 1%, it's not going to hurt. You got to keep the place going. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Logger. We appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to appear before council? Please state your name, sir. and where you're
Scott
from.
Belcastro from Traybell, and to comment on this gentleman's and Councilman Spence, his questions. There is federal funding available for the charge stations that's becoming available. It'll be available this fall. Traybell can help you guys with the obtaining of funding through once it's available in the fall, and the planning process surrounding how they're implemented throughout throughout Wintersville. So there's a little bit of work involved and behind that, and the individual that we work with on and getting that completed has done some of the most largest and major cities here in the United States to roll those out. So you're getting someone who's been in this electric space of charge stations and all that for 10, 15 years. One of the foremost people that can help you guys get the funding and work through those that grant money. Okay. As you guys many of you know me, I think everybody does here. Scott from Traybell. We are the energy consultant currently for Wintersville, and over the last couple years, I think I've shared with you guys, we've saved just on the electric on the last program over $70,000 put back into this community. We gave you guys one of the lowest rates in the market. I think it was only 0.2 off of the lowest rate that was ever set in the AEP market for an aggregation. The only person to beat that rate was Traybell, myself, in another area. And so our rate for your natural gas was also pretty outstanding on the last round. It was one of the lowest variable rates in the market. And so, I know that there's been some discussion about seeing what else is out there, and certainly would never would never tell anybody not to do your due diligence or look around. But you know, at the end of the day, I am obviously proud of what I've accomplished, and don't want to see our longstanding relationship with Winterville lost. And you know, a lot of brokers have a lot of different sales tactics for teeing things up, and one of which was the discussion surrounding Traybell's fee is more than another person's. And somehow, with our fee being where it needs to be to provide all the different services to you, the community, and in addition to having staff on hand to answer Wintersville residents' questions, and we do get quite a few. We still, with our fee being maybe or maybe not more than somebody else's, have been able to consistently set the lowest rates in the market. And so if our fee was so expensive compared to somebody else, I ask you, how is it that we were able to accomplish that? Well, we can sit here and have a coconut game. It's a fool's conversation with another broker talking about who's got the lowest fee. But at the end of the day, what matters to your residents is what has the guy done for us? And I think I just reviewed that. We set some of the lowest rates. We put a lot of money back in this community. And the previous administration here, mayor, kind of ran things a little different than the current group. He didn't really, and it's not a good or bad thing, but Traybell has a lot of services that we've never even used because we were never asked to use them. Our website, these charge stations. You want to know about that? Fine. Solar energy, we do it. We've done it. I personally just, I don't know about all you guys, but we lived through that storm, what was that, 3 weeks ago at my own house. We have solar, and we put in batteries, and we did exactly what I wanted to do. My house was out of electricity for 7 days, I think it was, and we had to learn how to live off the grid, and we did that. And so it was a good learning experience. But those learning experiences, real world learning experiences, I bring to each and every one of your constituents here. So we can give you guys a program to roll out if anybody wants solar and help with finding financing and other services for that, and quotes for even this building, this administrative building, or any of the neat things that you guys have been teeing up here in the near future, recreation-wise or otherwise. So I just ask that, going forward, I don't really know what the next steps are for how do you compare one broker to another. If it is indeed we're just competing on rate, that's a difficult thing to get. It's a fool's game. There's so many factors: timing, market, fees, suppliers. And as of right now, I think we're the ones who are supposed to help manage that. So all I ask is that we're given that opportunity before I get a call that just says, "Oh yeah, by the way, we've went a different direction." I mean, I certainly hope I get the opportunity to not just be a surprise phone call like that. So any input from you guys on that? Number one, and number two, if you guys do have an interest in hearing more about the charge stations, I'd be glad to set up a meeting with a group of you and bring in an individual that to talk about how we'd roll those out. Okay.
Sir, do you have any paperwork to break down of what you saved us? 'Cause I haven't seen anything. Have you ever seen anything?
Yeah, we had one from the last meeting. I think he gave out some numbers.
I think this is the right one that I handed out at the finance meeting when we met.
Yeah.
I wasn't at that one. So
No worries. Can I give you this one?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that all right?
Yep.
Yep.
Just see the breakdown. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
That's a meeting I wasn't at.
Scott, the one thing I would add is there's no doubt that we've had a nice relationship over the years, and the $70,000 that you saved over the aggregate is not just a drop in a bucket. That's a very nice, considerate fund of money that's gone back into our local economy. It's greatly appreciated.
Sure.
And I have the utmost confidence in the Finance Committee and this council that we will make a strong decision whenever the time comes, and you will be involved. You've earned that right to at least be in the discussions as how we move forward. So I'm sure that we will do the right thing with that. We've gone before, you brought up rate, cheapest rate. Well, you've supplied some services and some additional opportunities that should be considered. We've awarded bids not on the lowest, but we've done best and lowest, all right? And Walt can maybe describe that a little bit better. Sometimes the cheapest guy isn't the best guy, okay? And we've learned our lessons with that. So we always go with the best and lowest bidder, I think, is the way we do. But as we move forward, we do appreciate the services you've done. It's been well documented. And as we move forward, you've earned that right to be part of the discussion of which way we go. And, just keep up the good work. I'm sure you're not going to get a phone call, total surprise, and say you're out.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I've told, my company has never been the cheapest, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, I'm an ex-corporate banker. The guy who does it cheapest typically doesn't hang out for very too long, and he doesn't offer your people any services. And if you can't supply those services, well, many of the things that we've created, I'm spending a ton of money on IT. Energy is going to be more and more data-driven, and you can't just rely on the suppliers to get it right. You need somebody, a consultant, to be that guy. And you need to invest in those things, and it's not cheap, I'm going to tell you. So.
I'm sure the services you provide in 2022 are more and more enhanced than the benefits that were provided in 2016 or whenever we started
different.
this. So that's something that we definitely have to look on into as well, because we have not taken advantage of those opportunities that you guys have with some of those grants that I've recently become aware of. So I would anticipate that to be a cornerstone of our approach and decision to which way we're going to go when the time comes. And looking at the rates, in our previous finance meeting, I'm not sure the time to get into a long-term 2-year contract is soon, but you will be in the loop for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think that you've echoed what I've said. We're not in a position where I think you should be doing anything, so thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Sorry, excuse me. Is there anyone else that would like to appear before council? All right. We will move on to the ordinances and resolutions, and I will turn it over to Denise.
Resolution 2022-09 is a resolution authorizing Katie Saba, Funding Administrator, W.E. Quicksall & Associates, Inc., to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement, Local Transportation Improvement, and/or Small Government Programs, and Mayor Mike Petrella to execute contracts as required. I'm going to ask for a motion to suspend the rules, make this an emergency read.
Motion to suspend the rules on Resolution 2022-09.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll have the second and third read of Resolution 2022-09, a resolution authorizing Katie Saba, Funding Administrator, W.E. Quicksall & Associates, Inc., to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement, Local Transportation Improvement, and/or Small Government Programs, and Mayor Mike Petrella to execute contracts as required. So I need a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve Resolution 2022-09.
Second.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yay.
Dr. Scarpone?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
And Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
And we have ordinance number 2022-11. This is a second read. This is an ordinance amending section 171.03A of the codified ordinances of the Village of Wintersville, Ohio, to increase the local court costs for moving, non-moving, and criminal violations by $15. This is the second read. Next is Resolution 2022-12, a resolution authorizing, we passed that last time. Yeah. Resolution 2022-12, a resolution authorizing Mike Petrella, Mayor, to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvements and/or Local Transportation Improvements Program and to execute contracts as required. This is the first read. And our last resolution is Resolution 2022-13, a resolution authorizing Mayor Mike Petrella to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvements and/or local transportation improvements programs and to execute contracts as required. So that is the first read. That's all for tonight, Mayor.
But Denise, what about
2022.
2022-10 with the House bill? We just had a first read the last meeting.
Oh, I thought we had, I don't have that in my packet. Oh, and I do have one more resolution, 14. Does anybody else have that one in their packet?
14?
It's on the agenda.
Got 14, I got
Yeah, I got
10 and
14, but I
11.
don't have 10. 10 would be the second read in the suspended rules and get the third.
Right,
one
I know.
through.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, that's what in here.
We have the agenda, but it's on the agenda, we just don't have it.
Do you have it for me to read? What's it say on here? Okay, well, I'm going to do a second read on Resolution 2022-10, a resolution regarding the Airbnb. Is that good enough for a second read? While you're doing that, I'll move on to Resolution 2022-14. This is a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying to the county auditor. This is a first read. There it is. Very good. Okay. Thank you, Jake. Okay, this is resolution number 2022-10, a resolution stating the Village of Wintersville by and through its village council hereby opposes the passage of Ohio House Bill 563, which restricts the regulation of short-term rentals by municipalities. This is the second read. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and have the third read and get this through?
He asked for a motion. Anybody want to put forth that motion?
I'll put forth it.
Okay.
Second.
Second, Bob. Okay, Jake, can I have that back? And I'm going to do a third read on that. That's okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is the third read of resolution number 2022-10, a resolution stating the Village of Wintersville by and through its village council hereby opposes the passage of Ohio House Bill 563, which restricts the regulation of short-term rentals by municipalities. So I'm asking for a motion to approve resolution number 2022-10.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote would be Mr. Spence,
Nay.
Mr. DeStefano,
Nay.
Dr. Scarpone,
Nay.
Mr. Mattern,
Yay.
Mr. Merriman.
Yeah.
So the resolution did not pass. So- Okay, Mayor, back to you.
All righty. Thank you. On to the reports, announcements, communications. Starting with the police report for the month. We had 261 incoming phone calls, 10 accidents, 19 cases, 15 juvenile cases, 48 traffic arrests, 4 criminal arrests, and 3 parking violations. The mayor's court report, city revenue was $9,101. State revenue, $2,122.24. Other revenue was $223.76 for a total revenue of $11,447. We had 18 licenses and 15 permits for the month of June, which totaled $1,950. A few announcements here. So we got some events coming up. There's the Cops and Slobbers event for the FOP Lodge number 97 and the Humane Society will be September 10th at St. Florian Hall. This weekend, we have Thunder in the Ville, Friday and Saturday. The fireworks will be at 10 o'clock on Saturday. We also have the 5th annual Josh Merriman Foundation Golf Outing, Saturday, August 13th at Steubenville Country Club, and I believe tee time is at 8 a.m. Am I right on that, Bob?
Yeah, the first one's at 8.
First one's at 8 a.m.
Too.
All right.
Thank you.
We also have the Jefferson County Humane Society. They'll be having their Dog Days of Summer event, July 23rd at Aladdin Land, starting at 6 p.m. The Fire Department and the EMT of Wintersville will be having their Gun Blast October 15th at St. Florian Hall. A couple other announcements. I know we got a couple phone calls. I know Councilman Matter got a couple phone calls about citizens were getting some robocalls, people taking numbers, pretending they were with the village. Please remember, a lot of our communication is Facebook, news from Wintersville. We mail things out. If you have questions, we return your calls. We have a log of calls. Please don't feel like you're ever getting ignored. We do keep a log of all the calls that come in. For citizens, if you have questions about anything, please contact your councilman, councilwomen, contact myself, contact this building, come to our committee meetings. I think we have one citizen that pretty much shows up at every one of them. Come to our council meetings, stay informed that way. That way you know what's going on, or like I said, please don't hesitate to email, call, text. You can text me. Whatever is easiest, but contact us so you're up to date with the correct communication of what's actually going on, and don't give your any important information over the phone until you make sure it's the correct people you're speaking with. Another reminder under announcements: grass. Can everyone please try to cut your grass? We've been sending out a lot of letters. We're working on numerous citations for court. Some we've already had to mow, and those are going to be put on their taxes. Also, garbage. A lot of people I'll get to that, but a lot of people took advantage of some of the trash pickup. Walt and I noticed. We do have pictures of a few of those. We will be also billing them per our ordinance for the extreme amount that we had. I think we had, 2 houses? 2 of them. Yeah.
That's for spring cleanup and not regular garbage, correct?
Yeah. Just a reminder, we don't want it to start coming into regular garbage pickup where there's an issue either. All right. Also, the speeding. Talked to Chief a lot. They're speeding in neighborhoods. Our officers are doing a great job, but citizens, we have to be a little more aware of what's going on, that you're traveling where there's children, there's businesses. We're all guilty of it sometimes, but everybody needs to remember to try to slow down and be cautious of your driving, please. All right, that's it for the announcements. I will move on to my report. First on the agenda, I would like everyone to take a brief moment of silence and just remember Perry Poole. We want to thank him. He passed recently. We want to thank him for his dedicated years of service here to the village. He was over 30 years here at the village, so if everyone can just take a quick moment of silence for Perry. Thank you. Next, we want to congratulate Bruce Snyder. He's going to officially retire, I guess, for the second time. He's been with the village for over 40 years. Bruce works part-time still at our sewer department. He's a great guy. I've only got a chance to work with him for 6 months, but he's done a tremendous job over the years here at the village. But he is going to be done in the next couple weeks, so we wish him nothing but the best. He can go and finally enjoy real retirement. Next, I want to thank President of Council, Mr. Spence, for filling in for some of my duties while I took a vacation there. I appreciate that very much. I think some people are happy to see me back, and some probably not.
I am.
Next, I want to thank Chief Vanderborn, his men and women. They have been doing a great job. I've seen them out. I've seen them have 2 cars pulled over at once with the speeding going on and responding to numerous different calls and helping, whether it be Cross Creek Township, Sheriff's Department. It's great to see all the departments working together on different objectives that they've been doing lately. So thank you, Chief, and thank your men and women. Next, a quick update with the manhole project. It's still not finished. I spoke to the engineer with AT&T. They do have a few more to get fixed and a couple to adjust. So hopefully they will continue that. And then after that, we will start to repair the ones that are ours between Caddis Road and Main Street. Like I said, we're trying to let AT&T get done with theirs, and then we'll see which ones we have to fix. Next up, I just want to thank Tom Straka, Justin with the Water Department, even Councilman Spence responded to a possible water line break on a night. Luckily, it was not a water line break, but we were having a tough time getting a hold of everyone. And also Mark with the Street Department and Bob for at least responding. Again, it was not a water line break, but I know council, while I was gone, they spoke at the personnel meeting. We really need to get the on-call list ready to go with the employees so that Justin has some more help. That night it was pretty dark out. We couldn't see here. Somebody just emptied their pool and didn't tell anyone, so we thought it was a water line break. Thank the citizens who ever called, because at least we knew it wasn't a break. But council, like I said, Walt and I can work on that as well, getting together an on-call list with the employees so that we make sure we have adequate amount of help, so we don't have to use subcontractors to do the work. Next, I do want to thank Justin and his crew for doing the water line break on 2 Ridge Road while I was gone. I heard they did a great job and did it fairly quickly, so we appreciate that very much. I want to tell Walt thank you. Council, I know it's rough now that we're only meeting once a month in the summer, but Walt secured us a $375 loan and grant. A lot of that was grant money through the USDA so that we can get 2 new dump trucks and 2 new pickup trucks. So great job, Walt. Excellent grant writing, and we appreciate you doing that. I think it's much needed so we can get ready for the rest of this year and for winter. So I want to thank all the guys that were out there. Street Department, I think water even helped, sanitation. The garbage pickup, it was not pretty. The one day was a lot of rain, a lot of heat, a lot of garbage. I think Walt might have more details on how much we ended up. I don't know if we got that total back, how much garbage we collected this year, but I know those guys had it was not an easy task. There was a lot of garbage, and like I said, wasn't the greatest weather between the heat and then the one day pouring down rain. So I want to thank all our employees for doing that. They did a great job, and I know everyone really appreciates the garbage pickup here in the village, those that don't take advantage of the situation. Next, I would like to ask council's permission for Officer Eric Hashberger. He has been an officer for 3 years. He has been with the village. He was here before full-time. He went down to part-time. He's now been sworn in full-time, and he's been with us for the past 2 months. I would like to get a motion from council to waive him so his pay can be increased to the $17 an hour, so his 6-month probation can end and we keep him on at full staff.
I'll make a motion to waive the 6-month evaluation period, probationary period for Officer Hashberger.
Second.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yay.
Dr. Scarpa?
Yay.
Mr. Maturin?
Yay.
And Mr. Marion?
Yeah.
Thank you all. Appreciate that very much. Next up, sorry, got a lot on the list here tonight since we're only meeting once a month here. I'll try to be quick. We want to welcome a new business to Wintersville, the Massage Joint. There's 3 owners, Jen Knox, Lisa Truschel, and Katie Martin. They are located on Main Street. They have 20-plus years of experience, so we appreciate another new business coming here to the village and opening their doors. Next, I want to congratulate, even though Gail was not here tonight, congratulate Bob and Gail Dameron for the sale of heavily coached limousine. I also would like to welcome the new owners, Sarah Scruder and Nick Davis. And from what Gail has told me, they are great people, and they will be keeping the business here in Wintersville, which is very important. So congratulate to Bob and Gail on the sale of their business, and we welcome the new owners with open arms. And if we can do anything here, we would gladly help them and wish them nothing but the best and thank them for keeping the business here in Wintersville. I also spoke to the regional operations manager for our Wintersville Wendy's. I want to thank them. If anyone hasn't noticed, they have spent nearly $1 million in the remodel of their entire store. She said to tell everyone thank you. They love being in Wintersville, and they were happy to do business in Wintersville, even with their contractors. They said everything was very smooth, and they were thankful that they were able to do that store. I know they have a lot on their list, but that was one of the ones they wanted to get to. So again, thank you, Wendy's, for investing nearly $1 million here in our local community with the remodel that they just did. Next, I want to thank Mr. Bob Coppa with the Beautification Committee. He's been volunteering a lot of hours, whether it be painting at the pump house, help power washing down in the gazebo, pretty much a lot of different things. He's been doing a lot of volunteering, so we appreciate that. And I really want to thank the Parks Committee. Carmen, I know you're the chair, and honestly, all of council for the support you've been giving me for trying to get these parks restored. It's not been an easy process. We still got a good bit to do down at Walnut, but we're making leeway there. Garden is almost done. We just have to paint the lines on the basketball court and clean off the final part of the fence, which is a little bit of poison ivy. And down at the gazebo, all that's left is doing the landscaping. So got a few more things to do, but we're making a lot of progress. I don't know. I have before pictures of Garden. I'm going to take after pictures because it doesn't even look like the same place. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to stop over there. I was over there today and had 2 citizens stop and thank me and thank everyone for getting that back up and being able to be used.
Mike, staying on that point, yeah, it's very encouraging to see continual progress over there at that park. It's come a long way after the episode we had losing that shelter. I did bring this to attention of Walt. I know it's wet down in there, and we did some reseeding and stuff. But just last week, I actually saw a car that was parked down in there, maybe even been stuck. So there needs to be something addressed where we can prohibit parking going on then or disallow parking going on down into that place, because I mean it was down there, and I believe it would have had problems getting out of there. I'm telling you, it was deep. So the progress has been greatly appreciated by many of the residents over there, all the residents I've talked to on Meadow and Garden, and there's plenty of activity over there. We just got to make sure that nobody parks down in there.
Yeah, we'll get some signs and maybe put something up across there. Good to know.
Extend some of that fence, just leave an opening for a walkway.
Yeah. It's good to know. Yeah, and with Garden Park, I do want to especially thank all the guys. Everyone pitched in to help get that place back going, but especially Teddy Chewich. Teddy, I kind of made him the lead man on that job, and he did a great job accomplishing that. There was a lot of work over there, so thank you, Teddy, and thank all the guys that were involved there. The only other issue we seem to be having at the Walnut Park is the use of everyone's dogs. We've gotten numerous complaints. There's dogs not on leashes. The dogs are using the restrooms. The kids are stepping in it. They're urinating on some of the equipment, and then the kids aren't able to go and play on it. I believe while I was gone, we got signs made. If you can't keep your dog on a leash, unfortunately, we're going to have to keep the dogs out of there for a minute until this problem's resolved, or until Summer Parks program is over here. Dogs need to be on a leash. If they're going to use the restroom, you need to have some responsibility and clean up after your pets. Other than that, that is where I am done, and I'm going to turn it over to Walt.
I want to be a little bit longer than you. Short list tonight. I want to request permission to advertise for sealed bids to sell 3 of our vehicles no longer in use. First one is a 2006 Ford Expedition. We're going to bid it both ways. Minimum bid of $10,000 with all the police equipment intact. And then if no local police departments bid on it, we would also offer it to the general public. $3,500 minimum bid, and we will remove all of the police equipment before it would be transferred over. So we want to advertise that one. The other one is a 2012 Chevy Impala, $1,000 minimum bid for that, and the 2009 Crown Vic, the old code officer vehicle, $1,000 minimum bid for that. We'll get that in a paper next week, and we'll have the bids well before our next council meeting to make recommendation. The 2 resolutions you passed for Public Works, or we had the first read, will be for projects applying for next year. First one for the Moon Valley Waterline replacement. We'll be applying for $500,000 grant from OPWC, then another $500,000 grant from the CDBG RPIG program. That's federal funds dispersed through the state, so we'll need to have 2 sort of structured public meetings advertised a certain way. We'll have to do an income survey on all the residents there. The good news is we do have EPA-approved plans already, so we'll get a few extra points for that. Spoke with one of our pipe suppliers today, and if we were bidding this project today and awarding it, there's a 10-month out if you ordered the 7,000 feet of ductile iron waterline pipe that we need, 10-month wait. So hopefully by the time this comes next year, if we receive the funding, that lead time will go down. Our the 2023 resurfacing project, right now we have 4 streets in. It'll be part of Woodridge from Eisenhower up to Simpson, back along Simpson, and then Patton back out to Eisenhower, and then Marshall, the very southernmost road that ends up going down to the plant. We may add 1 or 2 more to that. We're still doing the cost estimates on both of these. And the last item I'd like to do is, it's in your packet, is request permission to purchase a Kubota tractor for the sewer department. It's in the budget. Denise and I talked today. The sewer fund does have the money. The quote might be a little bit more. This quote's a year old, but this is on the state purchase program. So they didn't get back to me in time with an updated quote. Hopefully I'll get that next week. And if it's not too much out of line, I'd like to go ahead and get this purchased. I'm not sure if they have any in stock now, but we'll be using that this fall. The old one is it's probably about 25 years old, and it's starting to part us and do a few other things. And this fall is always when we load out the sludge beds for the land application, so that'll be coming up. And in addition, they move those in the drying beds, use this equipment to move it from bed to bed. So we have the estimate of $24,400, and I had $25,000 in the budget. So I'd just like permission to. We'll get the revised quote and then order it.
Well, I got a question.
Yes.
It's going to be tough to stick to a certain number, and you said it's going to be raised a little bit. If we put forth a motion to say under $30,000, is that going to cover this?
I certainly
Or you
would
don't
think
know?
so. If it would be more than that, I would come back. Like I said, I know we have the money, but then we might have to.
Because the current
decide a
price is
little bit.
currently under 20, the current price here from last year is about just under 25,000.
Just under 25, correct.
$25,000.
Correct.
$25,000. So I make a motion not to exceed $30,000 a purchase of this Kubota here.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Dr. Nope will go with Mr. DeStefano.
Yay.
Dr. Scarpone?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Marion?
Yeah. What kind of tractor is that? It's got a front-end loader on it?
Yes, yes. That's what they use, the agri-sludge people that come down. It's not agri-sludge, it's someone else. They bring semi down, and we have a little ramp there that we load the sludge out onto that. And then we have several places, EPA approved, that they land apply it to several farms in the area. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Walt. All right, moving on. Does anyone have any
I had a couple questions for Walt.
Oh.
Walt, in the last meeting, you talked about some hydrant flushing. We did the hydrant flushing, everything was good there. But you came across a couple hydrants that were in need of repair or replacement. Do you have an update on those? I thought it was
The
three.
one on Main Street has been replaced. The one on Caddis Road has been repaired. I don't believe they got the one on Canton Road yet
think that's the last
replaced.
one.
That's the
Yeah,
last
that's the
one,
last one.
yes. It was knocked off by a semi, we think, and that's the one we haven't got to yet. We do have a hydrant, we just haven't got to that yet.
So we're making progress. We still have a little bit of work to do.
One to go,
Okay.
yes.
The bulk trash pickup, normally you give us like a results of how many tonnages per, do you have that?
I think we're close to 70. I'm waiting for the last one to come in, which is about the average, although the price has gone up significantly for the disposal. And we took a few loads over to Brooke County simply because, as Mike said, the day it was wet, the one big one at Garden Drive had some
It was a nightmare.
messy things that you couldn't throw into a dump truck. It was somewhat
It's
insect infested, and
Thanks for the details.
yeah.
it's one of the houses we're citing in the court, so.
It was not pretty.
Thanks for your update, Walt.
All right. Moving on, anybody have any unfinished business?
I got a question. I think it's for the mayor. You mentioned in the past about a street cleaner. And I've had a
Yes,
couple
I'm-
residents come up to me and ask about doing some neighborhoods.
I'm
that has-
still working with a couple municipalities to try to see if there's a way we can work with them to get them to come here, cover some costs, maybe try to save us some money rather than completely subcontracting it out to a major company to
Okay.
get any streets done. Anybody else on unfinished business? All right, moving on to new business. Anybody have anything for new business?
The only real thing I had is, for some of us more experienced councilmen who've been here for a while and attendees, I ran into a diehard, used to come up here all the time by the name of Betty Steiner. She's doing well, said to say hi to Walt. And it was good to see Betty Steiner out and about. Appreciate her, and we do miss her here. She was quite the contributor to our council meetings, and she was loved to participate in the progress of this village. So good to see Betty. Thank you.
I have a couple of things from the personnel meeting. We reviewed, again, the employee performance reviews, and according to the mayor, I guess those are going to go out this month or the end of the month. And since we have a hard time hiring people, we also discussed the possibility of an employee referral program. So if anybody working for the village brings somebody in, there was two scenarios that I brought up. One was 1 year. If they stayed with the village for 1 year, then that employee would get $500. Or then we talked and we thought maybe we should drop it down to 6 months at $250, which you're not going to get an influx of 4 and 5 people a year, for referrals.
Randy, I don't know that we are allowed to do that, we need to check with you.
Okay, yeah, that's why I'm going to bring it up here.
I don't think that's a permitted thing, yeah, but I'm not sure, but we need to check on that.
Okay, that's-
before we do that,
That'd be good.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is just to bring it to everybody's attention. We're not going to vote on doing it yet. This is just
Yeah,
went
but I
through.
don't believe we can use the village residents' monies for things like that. But
Okay.
We'll look into it.
Thank you. And I was talking to Mayor, and he was talking to, I believe it was Teddy and Justin. There are some guys who want to be trained on equipment. I don't know if this was mentioned at the last meeting or not, but those guys said that they can plan a weekend, Saturday or Sunday. We wouldn't pay the guys. They would take the equipment to the field out by the shooting range if that's approved. The mayor was going to check on that and teach guys how to run the equipment. That way, we don't get stuck with one guy running a backhoe and no one else knows how to run it. So we need to familiarize everybody else with the equipment. And they can ask what equipment they want to use, and they can break it up to a couple hours a day, on the weekend, and then we can go from there.
That's a smart move.
That's all I have.
All right. Anybody else on the new business?
When Randy brought up the committee meetings, I missed the last committee meetings on whatever day it was, Wednesday or whatever. Is there any way when we make these announcements, we might be able to have the committee member in that email give us a quick itinerary of what a couple of the talking points may be? So if someone's not able to attend, they can at least contribute something of what they may want to add on that subject. That would just be my only suggestion. When a committee is announced, maybe we have a couple talking points of what we might cover. Not to, limit it to that, but if we know we're going to be talking about, educational experiences on how to work a dump truck or whatever it was we might be doing, it'd be nice to add something on to that if it was. That would be my only.
So any committee chair that calls a meeting, the chair, it'd be helpful if the chair sent out an email with a few bullet points.
We've been getting the emails, hey, the meeting's on, but, if we just had like a couple bullet points, yep, you're on it.
Got it. All right. Anybody else with new business? Okay. Denise, any transfers?
No, sir.
Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yay.
Dr. Scarpone?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Other than an abstention on 47042, yay?
And Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
All right. Then I need we're going to do some new protocol, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yay.
Dr. Scarpone?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
Our next regular council meeting will be August 4th, 2022 at 7 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.